my dudes, my name is Cecilia and welcome to my kitchen here in Stockholm. This week we are making a Swedish classic Kanelbullar. They are Swedish cinnamon rolls and they differ from the American ones in that they don't have that very thick, heavy glaze on top. Instead, they're usually topped with pearl sugar, sometimes raw sugar as well, but mostly pearl sugar. And they tend to be a little bit lighter as well, not so dense and heavy as the American ones. But they are so great and I am so excited to share the recipe with you guys. So let's just get started. For the dough, everything goes in the bowl all at once. Add your yeast and milk and give it a quick whisk to make sure the yeast gets evenly incorporated in the dough. On top of that, add your flour, then your sugar, cardamom, butter, and salt. Pop it onto your machine with the hook attachment. We are going to mix this on a low speed for 5 minutes just so that everything gets incorporated and there's no flour flying in our face or anything. So it's been 5 minutes and as you can see, the dough has now come all together, but of course it hasn't worked up nearly enough gluten and it needs to be very smooth and shiny and this is obviously not anywhere close to what we want. So we're gonna put it on a medium to medium fast speed. Start checking it at about the 10-15 minute mark. Your machine might only take, say, 15 or 20 minutes. Mine, however, it's gonna take probably at least half an hour, but we'll see how it goes. Our dough has been mixing for a truly incredible 40 minutes now, but I am finally happy, with where it's at. And my machine is just dying for a break. It's so warm. So it's definitely done. We now want our dough to fully relax so it's much easier for us to work with. So cover it with a tea towel and let it rest for 30 minutes. Our dough has now fully rested and it's nice and poofy, looks great. We are going to turn it out and make it into a roughly rectangular shape. We are now gonna let this dough rest, and we're gonna let it rest again because just putting it into a rectangle of this shape, my dough is tense again, and to get it to be even bigger and even thinner, we want the dough to relax one more time. It's not gonna take another half an hour. It just needs to sit here like this for 10 minutes, and we won't have to fight the gluten to get it to be the size that we want it to be. So just kind of gently put it to the side. And in the meantime, this is a great opportunity for us to make our cinnamon filling. It's very simple. All it is very well softened butter, sugar, and a whole lot of cinnamon. And then just stir it up. You could also do this in the stand mixer, but I've already dirtied that bowl. So instead of cleaning it, I'm just gonna dirty another bowl. Usually I don't like to make dishes, but here we are. The key to this is that your butter is super well softened, because if you tried to do this with hard butter, you would just want to die. This is also an intense amount of cinnamon. One of the things that makes Swedish cinnamon buns is how much cinnamon is in them. Don't be afraid. This is how they're supposed to be. This is now all together, and we just put that to the side until we're ready to use it. This guy has now been relaxing for a while. I'm just gonna add a light layer of flour on top, and I'm also going underneath it to make sure that there's a little bit of flour on the bottom. Not too much though, but enough so that my dough doesn't stick or anything. And I want a nice large rectangular piece. I'm constantly adjusting it so that I have corners and it doesn't become an oval. We want to make sure that it's not sticking to the table. It's nice and relaxed. And if you get any rips like I got in this corner, you just pinch the dough back together and boom, you're good to go. And this is going to be about, how thick is this? 1 centimeter thick? Yeah, somewhere around there. Lagom. It should be like lagom thick. Just right. Not too thick, not too thin, just right. Obviously. Come on, guys. Now all we have to do is put our filling on it. We're going to use all of the filling that we've made. Like this filling recipe is made for this amount of dough. I like to take my offset spatula and you push it out and get it evenly all over the entire piece of dough, as evenly as possible. All right, there we go, nice and even. You want to start up in the corner and fold it over like this, where it's just the top, maybe ½ an inch that you're just pinching over. And you want to kind of round it in the corners as well. And then you take your corner and stretch and fold and stretch and fold. We're not trying to incorporate any air into there. All the way around. And we're doing that again, where I'm stretching it and rolling it. I'm stretching it and I'm rolling it. And I'm really concentrating on my corners. And the reason is that the middle will follow. You're really paying attention to your corners because that's how you follow this line along here, right? So now I take my middle's coming along. And now again, I'm paying attention to my corners. So I go down and pull. I go down and I pull. And do you see how this has all lined up? Like I don't have like any weird scraggly pieces of dough. So I am following this roll here is following this line. So that way this roll here is even and makes it, and then we just go a little bit in the middle like this, and it goes into the corner like this, and you stretch it and into the corner like this. And that is how you get a nice straight line. You see how nice and even this is? And this is like a fairly straight line. And this is also like kind of messed up on the end part, but like, do you see how even that is? That's what we want. And now you kind of just stretch it out and relax it. And if we need to, we can roll it out a little bit. Sometimes the ends gets a little bit on the thicker side, like that, and like that. And boom, there we go. We have a beautiful, even piece of dough. So easy, so simple, no fuss, no muss. Now we're going to take our very large pastry chef knife, and I call this my pastry chef knife because it is super dull. This is the kind of knife you want to use in pastry kitchens. This is the kind of knife that's best to use when you're cutting chocolate, when you're cutting butter, and when you're cutting big pieces of dough. Why? Because I can cut directly on the marble. It's gonna slice through this dough, no problem at all, but it's not gonna mark my marble. And also, like, I don't care that the marble is gonna dull out my knife because, like, it can't, how do you make it more dull than this? So it's always important when working in pastry kitchens to have a really big, really dull knife. This is also what you want to cut cake with, is a really nice, very long, very dull knife. So anyways, we're going to take our scale. You can of course do this by eye, but we always really like to scale things at the bakery so that we know that every customer is getting the exact same product. That's why we scale things. I'm looking for these to be between 95 and 105. 100 is our goal, but between 95 and 105 is going to be just fine. Let's see how good I am today. 94. And also you'll see a lot of people sometimes will take, I don't know, like a piece of floss or some very thin string and like cut it that way. That's gonna take you way too long. That's very silly and gimmicky. I don't know why they do that. Even though it gets squished when you cut it like this, you just go like that and it pops right back together. It's no problem. No problems, only solutions. 103, 101. Ooh, I'm good today. Sometimes I really suck at this, but Today I'm doing okay. 112? Should not. I spoke too soon. I like to take the tail. You just cut the tail off. That was 9 grams. Okay, now I know that this is 102 grams. Perfect. And this guy, you can eat it, you can throw it away, you can do whatever. That was really tasty. One of my favorite ways to serve these is in kind of like this cake form kind of business. I just think that they get like really cute all squished together. So you just take your paper and you keep folding it. And you fold it until you have a circle. Pop your paper in. And there you go. Perfect. This just gets really cute all nestled in together. There we go. Now we have all of our beautiful baby buns. We're gonna cover all of these and let them proof until about double the size. I'm guessing it's gonna take around between an hour to 2 hours, but it really just depends on your environment, how warm it is, what the humidity's like, etc. It has now been about an hour and a half, so let's see how our babies are doing. Oh yes, they're doubled in size. They're really fluffy and happy. And you can also see that they have like these little holes in them. That's another way that I tell that they're like fully proofed. And you can poke them and it doesn't spring back. It like holds that indent. These are 100% fully proofed and we can now bake them off. We're only gonna go in with 1 tray at a time, but these guys should be fine as long as I don't like knock them around in the meantime. In we go with our first tray. While our first round of buns is in the oven, we are going to make our egg wash, which is just 2 eggs. And then you want to beat them very, very well. We don't want there to be any stringy bits in our egg wash. Okay, that's ready to go. We have our little pastry brush here. All right, now we are ready. Now we just have to wait for the buns. All right, our buns are done. Look how gorgeous they are. They're so, whoops, so beautiful. As soon as they come out of the oven, speed is super, super important here, guys. We are brushing them. This keeps them really, really moist. It just helps like soften them. They don't get all like crusty. If you don't like the idea of doing this with egg wash, you could also do this with a simple syrup. Just boil equal parts water and sugar. That also works. But I like this because it doesn't add any sweetness and it helps keep it really moist and gives it a nice amount of shine. This is what we do at the bakery I work at and I really like it. And then immediately on with our pearl sugar. This is my favorite part of the cinnamon bun. Beautiful. All right, now let's just bake off all the rest of them. All right, last buns out of the oven and look how beautiful they are. A little bit of egg wash over the top here. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. And that's it. That's cinnamon rolls. Easy peasy, really not a difficult thing to make. And these guys over here are now fully cool. Let's try one. This middle piece is the best part, which I usually save for last, but I'm gonna eat it right now. They're just so, I don't know, comforting. It's so simple, so comforting. This is just like a staple here in this country, and I'm just really excited that I got to share it with you guys this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this week's video, then please like, subscribe, comment, all the things. You guys know the drill. And I hope I see you around next week. Hejdå!